All right, third time the charm. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. Welcome, guys. Hopefully everything's gonna work. Welcome to After Hours, Thursday, 8 p.m. I'll hang out for 30 minutes. We'll talk about some news, and I got some listings for you as far as trucks that I found that I browse over the week and that I find interesting to bring up and talk about if they're good buys or not. So let's start with the first topic that I actually found that's pretty much continuing from the last few weeks that we've been doing this. Just an update about FMCSA non-domicile CDL directives. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is heavily cracking down on commercial driver's license issued to foreign drivers. The government is ordering states to immediately cancel CDLs that say temporary on them and strictly require the word non-domiciles to be printed clearly on the license. They are also banning spouses of treaty investors and asylum seekers with pending paperwork from getting these licenses. Motor carriers must immediately audit their drivers. Bringing a driver back to work is now considered a new issuance, meaning companies will face delay and strict in-person paperwork requirements to verify their foreign drivers are legally allowed to drive. What it means for drivers, foreign truck drivers with pending immigration statuses or temporary licenses will lose their ability to drive commercially in the U.S. Eligible foreign drivers will face much stricter in-person paperwork hurdles to keep or renew their licenses. More of the same, nothing new here to talk about. I think we just have to focus on training the drivers properly and education, just so we don't run into safety issues and accidents and fatalities. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If you guys can put something in the chat, I would appreciate that. Make sure everything is working. FEDS to axe multi-language testing for truckers. That's something that it needed to happen. I mean, the CDL testing, I remember when I tested, I don't even know, it was only English in 2007. The Department of Transportation is introducing a new rule that requires all written and driving skills tests for CDL to be taken in English. This will eliminate the ability for drivers to take the test in other languages, which was previously allowed in states like California. Key takeaways: all CDL knowledge and skill tests will be strictly English only. What it means for us: aspiring truck drivers who are not fluent in English will not be able to obtain CDL. Current drivers may see a slight reduction in competition for jobs, while training standards will become stricter. I think this is going to be good for the industry. So we need some goodness. We need some good rates to continue. About Intermodal, I'm in Chicago. Intermodal is a pretty good market. It hasn't been yet doing what the rest of the transportation modes have been doing, but Intermodal rail makes weekly gain but trails 2025 traffic. So railroad and intermodal freight saw a nearly 11% jump in late February compared to the same time last year. However, lumber and forest products dropped because the housing and real estate markets are currently slow. So the total U.S. rail freight was up 10.7 year over year for the week ending February 21st. Growth was led by grain, minerals, coal, and petroleum. Forest products fell 1.6 due to a cooling residential real estate market. What it means for the trucking industry: the trucking industry often competes with or work alongside the railroads. A boost in rail freight can mean more demand for drayage trucks. However, the drop in lumber volume indicates that construction-related freight remains weak. Drivers who haul construction materials might experience softer demand. Conversely, drivers doing local port or rail yard drayage might see steady or increased work as rail volumes rise. I think after the Chinese New Year's, definitely the volumes are going to increase. So that'll be interesting. Let's talk about Flatbed. This is Flatbed signaling a manufacturing renaissance. Hey guys, welcome. Whoever's watching, I see you out there. Tell me if you're driving anything, or if you're driving, you shouldn't. But if you're at a truck stop resetting, where are you at? What type of truck do you have? So Flatbed signaling a manufacturing renaissance. I can't speak for today. I mean, usually I can speak since English is my second language, but today, for some reason, I'm choking. It's not. Flatbed trucking companies are rejecting over 30% of their load offers, an incredibly high number that usually means there is a huge demand and not enough trucks to hold the freight. This surge suggests the manufacturing, construction, and energy sectors are picking up speed. Some takeaways: flatbed tender rejection rates jumped above 32% for only the second time in 8 years. That's crazy. This points to strong momentum in the manufacturing sector, which has otherwise been sluggish. Hey Adam, how you doing over there? What are you up to? Thank you for tuning in. The recent removal of certain tariffs may be encouraging domestic production and boosting freight demand. High rejection rates mean flatbed carriers currently have high pricing power and can charge more for their services. This is a bright spot for the industry, especially since the larger dry van market is still struggling with lower demand. I don't think so. I don't think it's accurate. But the stronger demand in dry van, and from what I'm seeing, the flatbed in our trucking business group, I have some owner operators and we talk about their freight. They definitely picked up. There's opportunities for them to not only have better rates, but also a lot more volume, which is great. Adam's in New York. Adam, what are you doing in New York? DCR, Fit Trucker, how are you doing? Sorry, my first connection went south. Sorry, where are you at? What are you driving? Oh, that is interesting, the independent contractor rule. The Department of Labor has proposed a new rule to determine whether a worker is legally an employee or an independent contractor. It replaces the Biden administration rule and makes it much easier for businesses to classify workers as independent contractors rather than full employees. I totally agree with that. Although there is definitely abuse going with the lease purchase programs in some cases, but I think they should be freed up a little bit and give freedom to the trucker. They want to be 1099. That's their decision. Tampa, VNL, a DCR Fit Trucker drives 2012 VNL 670 ISX 10-speed Eaton out of Tampa, Florida. I love Tampa. We go there. We have friends in St. Petersburg. Awesome place. And we go to Tampa a lot. Very nice place. 2012. Is that your truck? Fit Trucker? Tell me, what's your mileage on it? Adam has a side hustle snow removal for the big storm. You drove to New York from Colorado to do a side hustle gig for snow. Mandami called you or something? Amazing. Truckers who want to remain independent owner-operators will find their business's model protected. However, drivers who feel they are treated like company employees but are denied basic employee benefits might have much harder time fighting their classification in court. The biggest takeaway on this is if a trucker understands 1099, the biggest problem is when the truckers don't really understand what to do when you're 1099 and how to do it properly, if there's even such thing as being a proper 1099 employee. What happens is companies don't tell drivers they're 1099, and then they're surprised when they're hit with the tax bill. So yeah, 1099 for anybody that is out there, and W2, obviously an employee 1099, you get the gross income. You have to take care of your own taxes. DCR Fit Trucker, yes, just hit 1.1 million. Great. What type of freight are you hauling, and how long have you had the truck? That is 1.1 million on an ISX. Good. That's a good setup, other than, let's say, the emissions on the 2012. But I think you probably don't know what that is on your truck, do you? All right, what else do we have? The Supreme Court struck down presidential tariffs that were up to 145% on Chinese imports. However, the president immediately replaced them with a temporary 15% surcharge for 150 days. A separate 25% tax on heavy trucks remains strictly in place. So some takeaways: the duty-free exemption for cheap overseas e-commerce packages under $800 has been permanently killed, meaning all foreign packages now face customs, processing, and taxes. The freight market saw a massive weekend scramble as companies rushed to move goods out of ports before new rules took effect. What it means for the trucking industry: the supply chain is facing massive unpredictability, making it hard for companies to plan long-term. More importantly, surviving 25% tariff on heavy trucks acts as a $2 billion annual tax on the trucking industry, driving up the cost of a new truck as much as $35,000. Additionally, the end of duty-free e-commerce will increase the demand for warehouse handling and domestic trucking legs to deliver important packages. Buying a truck or a truck parts just became significantly more expensive, putting a massive financial burden on owner-operators and small fleets. Because new trucks are so expensive, drivers may be forced to drive older, less safe equipment, which breaks down more often and drives up insurance rates. Owner-operators don't buy new trucks. That's inaccurate. This is all about owner operators buy used trucks and do not even think about buying new 2027 emission trucks. And if they are, they better be getting $5 a mile. Drive and medical supply dedicated for a DCR fit trucker. Awesome. Is that a permanent lane? Are you dedicated? You said dedicated, so what am I asking you this? Nice. That's awesome. Where is it going? What's the lane? Yeah, tell me the route and how often do you stay out? Adam, did you drive your truck over there, or how did you end up in New York? Alrighty. I browse trucks a lot on Facebook, so I wanted to show you guys some cool trucks that I found. I don't know if you guys can see it, but because I can barely speak, my throat is messed up. Look at this beauty. 3406A Cat 15-speed Jake's wetline, 10 brand new tires, air ride. Beautiful truck. What a $20,000 in Ohio. 1972 Peterbilt 352. I mean, look at this beauty. What a beautiful truck. I don't know. I have a thing for cab overs. Oh, Adam flew in. I took the easy way in. This one's interesting, and I swear I save cab overs, but it just happened that I found two cool cab overs. That's 352, 1972, 892 Detroit with 1,000 miles on in-frame overhaul, Allison automatic, 240 wheelbase, aluminum frame, relief suspension. Truck is in very straight, minimal corrosion, 55,000. Beautiful, beautiful truck. Probably very comfortable to drive. There's this Freightliner Classic that I found, 30,000. Oh, it's sold actually for 30K. 06E Cat, 13-speed Eaton Fuller, 900,000 miles, 308 wheelbase. Transmission replaced 2 years ago, shifts smoothly. I had some extra work done, but very nice. Looks clean. Somebody got a nice rig for 30,000. Look at that. That is what I want. A 3406 Cat, 400 horsepower, no Jake brakes, Eaton transmission, new clutch, 370 rears. Very nice. Pictures are kind of bad to advertise it like that with such a beautiful truck. You want to take a little bit of better pictures. 1994 Kenworth W900L, $45,000. ELD exempt truck, which anything P2000 is ELD exempt. Also very nice. Look at that. 500 horsepower Series 60. My favorite engine. 336 rears. 7Rs tires. Comes with the trailer. Very beautiful. Frame a little bit rusty. Could get some work done, but otherwise pretty nice truck. That's it. There was a 2007 Peterbilt 386 also sold for $25,000 at C15. Strong running truck. The reason I like those is not only they still look pretty good, they aged well, but they're 2007s. So you got a C15 in it, no DPF, tons of receipts for $25,000. Wow. Needs some TLC, but it looks beautiful. Yeah, Adam, I'm looking for a truck for you. I know you're going to be shopping soon. Awesome. Guys, if you have any questions, you can find me in our trucking business group. Just go to trucku.com and sign up for free, our free group. We just hit over 1,000 owner operators and truck drivers that are becoming owner operators. So fun group. I keep it very strict with spam, no spammers. It's only people in the industry. We have mechanics in there. We have other professionals, small fleet owners, owner ops that share their wisdom. And it's a fun place to be. I highly recommend it. We do classes. I do free classes. Planning to do some webinars and just try to help each other in the industry. But that's it for today. I appreciate you guys hopping on and listening to me talk to myself. I thank you for being here and participating. Adam, take care of yourself over there. Don't work too hard plowing. DCR Fit Trucker. Be safe on the road. And I'll see you guys next week. See you guys. Be safe.